Hello and welcome to Swim Ireland's annual We Play conference. It's a little bit different this year, but we are ploughing ahead with a virtual We Play conference this year, and I'm delighted to be joined for our first panel discussion by three incredible sporting heroes for Ireland. There's absolutely no point in me trying to introduce them. I'm going to let them do it themselves because they've so many achievements to go through. But we might start in the top left there with Miss Ellen Keane. Do you want to introduce yourself and maybe give us the background of your favourite sporting achievement? You have so many to choose from, Ellen.
Hi, I'm Ellen Keane. I'm an Irish Paralympic swimmer. In 2018, I became European champion in Dublin in the National Aquatic Centre. So that was probably my most amazing sporting moment for me, because I got to do it in front of a home crowd, in front of all my friends and family, and in my home pool.
Brilliant. Okay, let's move across to Sunita.
Hi, Sanita Puspure. I do rowing in a singles scull. So my highlight probably would be winning championships 2018. That was my first major medal, and I managed to grab the gold. So that was a long time coming. It was a very special moment.
A long time coming, yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. And Rhys, introduce yourself to us.
So I'm Rhys McClenaghan. I'm a gymnast for Ireland, and I mean, my biggest sporting achievement is probably qualifying to the Olympic Games. I mean, it was just a childhood dream, and then at that same competition, taking home Ireland's first ever world medal. It was a special moment.
It was a special moment, and you've had so many of them, Rhys. It's a crazy time, isn't it? Like trying to keep yourselves going in a pandemic, in a lockdown. It's so hard to train, particularly with water-based sports. I saw, Rhys, you put up a post, I think it was last week, about having just a really bad day, a tough day, and lacking the motivation to go training. I think we're all feeling a bit like that, whether we're elite athletes or not. How did you get over that hump? Because I'd say you could teach everybody how to kind of, get back up off the couch and actually go and do something.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I'm sure it's something that the whole nation, the whole world right now is actually feeling, is that lack of motivation, because you're out of your daily routine, you're stuck in the house, there's not much to be at really, and then you go in this bit of a slump and a bit of demotivational stage. So what I thought helped me a lot was talking to friends on FaceTime. So I had one friend call me up who lives in California actually. She called me up on FaceTime and just said, get off my butt, pretty much. There's other people out there working hard. If you want to be the best, you got to work harder than them. So, it was a short phone call, and it lasted a short while, but she motivated me to get off my butt and go work hard.
Yeah, it must be difficult though. Like, you can't go to your gym, Ellen, you can't go to the pool. So you've had to kind of retrain your mindset around what you can actually do in training. Sunita, obviously open water is probably less dangerous when it comes to the pandemic, but I presume you guys aren't on the open water these days.
No, unfortunately we're not. Yeah, for me that would be the safest place for the pandemic. I'm in a single on my own in the middle of the lake, like no one comes near me. But it's unfortunately outside the 2K travel that we are allowed to do at the moment. So I haven't been tempted any fate yet, I must say, to sneak out to the lake. It's only like 15K away, but I'm trying to be good and stay indoors. Well, a little bit outside, but mostly indoors.
Does that mean if you lived within 2 kilometers, you would be able to go on the water? Yeah. So some people are going on the water.
Not at the moment, no, because there's nobody else living that close to the lake, and I'm not sure about the lads in Skibbereen, what they're doing, but we're all training indoors, outdoors, but like on stationary equipment. So none of us have been on the water now.
Yeah. Is it hard to replicate?
Really? We do have like specific machines which comes quite close to being kind of getting the same feel that you would have being in a boat, but it's still not the same. There's no that feel for the water. I'm sure Ellen will know all about the feel for the water. Like, you can't get it anywhere else. Like, it's just there. Yeah, like we can still work on like general points, technical points, which would be like the rock over for us, or the keeping the body still, the catch or the finish. So there's a lot of things we can work, and I'm sure it's going to make us better when we get on water. It just training on the water is much more pleasant. It's not as physically exhausting as it would be on the machines, and now all we have is machines. So we just, I suppose, just have to bite the bullet and hope it stands up to us. It matters, yeah.
Ellen, you don't quite have a machine where you can replicate swimming. And as someone who recently took up swimming, I was planning on doing the swim for a mile last week. So I just took up swimming in February and I miss it. So I can't imagine how you feel not being able to get into the water and, you know, do your regular sessions. I know that you've been really innovative with your gym sessions. But like, how have you found that tweak and, you know, trying to keep your body in top shape?
It's just about staying fit. So we're just doing, I was able to get a bike before the whole lockdown happened. So, and a turbo trainer. So I'm able to, my coach Dave Malone is sending me sessions. So I'm still able to do certain sessions, but it's just fitness based to look after my heart, and my lungs are still working hard, but it's just that feel of the water that you're completely missing. And like even my shoulders feel like really heavy now because I'm just not used to being out of the water for so long, because even in the water, like you don't have gravity, so it's just weird not being in the water for so long. I think the longest I've been outside of the water has been 3 weeks, because at the end of every season we only get our maximum time off has been 3 weeks. So this is the longest I've gone in over 10 years out of the water, and it's a bit mad. Like I'm just having really long showers.
Try and replicate it. You should really just get a jacuzzi in your house and try and tie yourself to a rope and try and swim against the current.
If anyone wants to sponsor me and send me a jacuzzi, I will gladly accept.
Definitely not editing that bit out at all. Can I ask you about, like, everybody that was planning on going to Tokyo is in the same boat. Excuse the pun, Sunita, but like everybody is struggling with changing their routine and trying to train against all the odds. And we have this 1 year delay, which is unheard of. It's unprecedented. So how has it changed or affected your mindset? Like, so Sunita, you're going for your 3rd Olympics. This was a target in your head for a very long time. Now it's another year away. So how have you had to kind of retrain your mindset for it being now a year later than what you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky, and I think the hardest time is yet to come when the time of the Olympics actually arrives in July. I think that's where mentally it's going to kind of, oh, we could have been finished by now with our medals or whatever we did, you know, but instead you have another year of all that winter training. But I was actually a little bit relieved they postponed it, because this winter didn't really go the way I planned it. I had a lot of things that I could have done better, and so in a way I see this as like an opportunity to me to not to make the same mistakes again next winter. So yes, it feels a little bit sometimes like an added prison time, but at the same time I do have a great group of athletes around me when we get to see each other again, and yeah, I probably wouldn't retire next year anyway, so everything's going according to plan, really. So extra year in rowing, why not?
I had to laugh because I know you tweeted when the lockdown initially happened that your daughter was like, yeah, you can have a baby and then you can just go to the Olympics. So many people have had to put things on a serious note on hold, like education, work, lots of different things have been thrown up into the air. And I know Nicole Turner, Ellen, one of your colleagues, has postponed her leaving cert already once, and now will probably end up doing it twice. So it has thrown things into absolute disarray. So what I'm wondering is, and maybe Rhys, I'll ask you this question, like, has the delay affected any of your immediate plans around like work or education or anything outside of sport? Have you had to put things on hold?
Well, I'm a full-time athlete now, which is a very good situation to be in with the funding that I've got and everything now. So all my focus will be on gymnastics. This delay in the Olympics, you know, I almost see it as a positive thing for me, because, you know, I'm still young. I'm 20 years old. I've got that extra year of just getting better. I really do feel for the people that were maybe planning on retiring after this Olympic Games, because I know a few gymnasts even that were planning on retiring, and now they have to stretch that out that extra year. And you know, gymnasts especially, they retire because their bodies can't take the stress of being at elite sport anymore. So yeah, for the people that were going to retire, this would be a really challenging time and a big stretch for them. But for me, I only see it as an extra year for me to get better. And yes, it has messed up some plans that I've had, but all of the focus will be on the Olympic Games essentially.
And what about you, Ellen? Because I know with swimming, it's a bit like rowing. A bit like rowing in that a boat qualifies, and you know, a place is qualified for Swim Ireland for the team, for the Paralympic team. You have to be selected, but like, how do you feel about the delay? Rhys and Sunita have both kind of said it's positive, just you know, because you know, Sunita the winter didn't go so well, and Rhys is saying that he's got this extra year now for more experience. How do you feel about the delay?
Well, it doesn't actually affect me in terms of qualification. So Paralympics Ireland have been given 3 female slots for Paralympic Games. Me and Nicole already have our qualifying times. So anyone who already has their qualifying times, they're safe. They're not going to be affected. If anything, it's going to give other people more of an opportunity now to qualify. But for me and Nicole, I know that we're in a good position. And yeah, as the others said, I just see it as a positive. I think it's kind of given a lot of people a second chance maybe to get things right that they haven't maybe been getting right, as Sunita said, or just kind of like just little things that you know you could be doing better. And I think when the games were still planning on going ahead and the whole world was starting to go into lockdown, I think that was probably the most stressful time for everyone, because some people were training, some people weren't training. And if the Olympics did go ahead, it wouldn't be the Olympic or the Paralympic Games that everyone knows. It wouldn't be the games that everyone had trained their whole life for. It would just kind of be a little bit of a, oh, we have to do this because we can. And now that it's postponed a year later, everyone has now been given the chance to be at their best, and the whole world gets to celebrate that while being in good health. So it's a really exciting time to have it next year, to see how the world can get over this.
So would I be right in saying then that for all of you, the uncertainty of about a month ago was way worse than the prospect of a delay?
Yeah, definitely, 100% for me anyway.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. And Sunita, you mentioned, like Rhys was saying there, about some of the older athletes who were looking towards retirement in a few years. Had you always planned to retire after your next Olympics?
Obviously, I had to retire at some stage and start doing normal people's jobs and like take care of family, you know. But yeah, I always thought I one thing too much further away from Olympics, just get the job done first and then decide whether I want to stay for another year or not, or maybe 2 years, who knows. So I didn't really make any plans about that, but in a way I was looking forward to being done with the pressure and the stress and trying to be healthy all the time, hydrated and fueled. It's such a chore to always be on your best possible form, you know. I just want to let my body not go, but relax a little bit, you know, kind of enjoy not being afraid to get a head cold or the flu or whatever. It's just kind of those little things that wouldn't bother a normal person and really bothers athletes, you know. I was kind of looking forward to feel free from all that, but at the same time, yeah, I think I would really miss it if I would just cut it off straight away. So I probably would need to wean myself off the sport gradually and find a job and kind of start doing a bit of a job, bit of training, and then slowly, gradually move over to normal life. Yeah.
Is there any similarity between this delay and the lockdown to something like a delay for injury, for example? Because I know, Rhys, you just came back in the last year from a really bad injury that you got at the World Championships. So the mentality around coming back from injury, is it similar to this lockdown delay?
It's similar, but at the same time, when I was recovering from surgery, I wasn't, like that month after surgery, I wasn't able to exercise at all. Now I'm able to kind of blow off steam and exercise as much as I can. And the good thing with gymnastics is it's all body weight conditioning. So, you know, the likes of press ups, handstands, I can do them all in my room that I'm sitting in now. So you know, it's not as similar for you two guys because you need that water, and I feel quite bad for you honestly because there's nothing like just having, you know, the environment that you train in, like you do day to day, just taken away from you, and that must be a very tricky thing to happen. But yeah, compared to the surgery, I mean, I'm able to exercise now, and that is the main thing that I missed when I was after surgery.
What kind of support structures do you guys have now? Because obviously you're all joining us at this webinar from your homes. You know, you're not going into the high performance units, you're not going to the pools, you're not going to the gyms. So like, what is your support structure? What's your contact like with coaches? I presume you've got your families closer to you, or your friends, Ellen. I know you probably live with housemates as opposed to your family. So like, how are you getting support day to day, like when you're just having a bad day like that?
The institute are offering quite a lot of the support services online now. So I would be speaking to my physio on a weekly basis, just checking in and doing what we can. So he would be maybe giving me some exercises for some small injuries that I've got, and that's very helpful to have at hand and know that that's an option. Other things that are an option is, you know, contacting nutritionists and doctors. That these are all things that the Institute and Sport Ireland have been offering us. So it's a great thing to have just there waiting. You know, it's not quite the same as getting hands-on physio treatment, but at least it's something, and we're doing the best we can.
So Ellen, you're living with your housemates. I know from one of your Instagram takeovers or something I read that you were cooking a bit more. So you're obviously starting to cook for yourself a little bit more than when you were at home or whatever. So like, what is your support structure like around you at the moment?
Well, when all of this first kicked off, I think my coach and Paralympics Ireland were just really straight away on board with making sure that every athlete was okay. So every week we have Zoom meetings with the whole squad. My coach checks in with me every other day. As I said, he's sending me spin sessions to do. My S&C coach has given me a program to do, and if I'm unsure of anything, he's always on the other end of the phone. I'll even record some of my sessions just to send to him so he knows exactly what I'm doing. And my physio, yeah, as we said, Sport Ireland and the Institute have been so good at still having people online for us to check in with. So every week I see my physio. It's a little bit weird because like stuff that I've been doing, rehab stuff I've been doing, he'll be watching it and then decide, right, okay, go find another band that's like stronger than that and we'll progress it. And so it's all those little things that you're starting to get right. And then I still have contact with my sports psych, Kate Kirby. So that's really helpful as well, especially in a time like this. I think one thing that most athletes are going to benefit from in this is the mental game that we all have to play at the moment. And that's probably the muscle that we're probably training the most right now, is our mental strength. And so it's really exciting to see who will come out of this mentally stronger. And I'm actually not living with my housemates at the moment. I am fortunate enough to be able to move in with my boyfriend. So he's been doing my gym sessions with me and pushing me as well.
That's brilliant. Yeah, it's great to have that support as well, because I know like you have some really innovative ways, like you mentioned the bike, and you mentioned like you have certain like adaptations you have to make, obviously, to even hold on to the bike. So to have somebody there that's, you know, that's able to follow your training, and I know you've been taking videos as well and helping other people see what you're doing, which is brilliant. That's invaluable, actually, invaluable. Sunita, you're at home with your family as well. I saw your son cooking you burgers the other day. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, that's home economics homework, so I'm looking forward to the next one.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's good to be home, actually, spend more time with them. But then homeschooling is really hard. Like, I have no patience for that. That's our toughest bit. But at the same time, as horrible as training at home is, you're home straight after training, which is amazing. There's no travel involved, nothing. You're straight back in, you know. But from support, yeah, we have great support from Institute, and same with Kate and Sharon and physios, and everyone's kind of linking in regularly to see if we're doing okay, if we need anything. And I think like being with the same staff for so many years, it's great because they, like physios, they know my body probably better than I do myself, and they know what's going to be the first to go and what I need to work on more. And by checking in every week, we just kind of make sure we stay on top of things. Obviously, the tension in the muscle is building, and at one stage, I'd probably be like, okay, I probably need a few days off to relax. But this remote support we're having is definitely going to help us. And same with the coaches, we have our Zoom meetings every morning before the session. They a bit too early for my liking, but we just try to keep the routine going. And it kind of, as much as you don't want to get up early in the morning, at least you know when you get up, you're gonna get your session done, and then you have your break in the middle of the day, and then you have your next session. So I know trying to stick to as normal routine as we would have if it wasn't a lockdown, but mentally it's not as easy sometimes. Some days you're like, yeah, come on, bring it. Some days like I just don't want to do it. There's no point. But yeah, it's like a yo-yo a little bit. You're up and down, but as long as we get up and get out, get the training done, sometimes that counts as well. You know, you don't have to be pumped every day.
Yeah, you know, there are athletes who are in the same position as you, where they have, you know, a child or a couple of children, and the homeschooling thing is an absolute nightmare. It is a nightmare because it's so hard to keep on top of, and it's actually pressure because I don't want to be a teacher. I feel like, you know, because I'm in the same position, and you have to find these windows to get that. That's like another job that has to be done. So like for the other athletes, you might be able to help them in terms of like, how do you delegate that? Do you do some of it, not all of it? Like, how do you manage it? Do you pick a time in the day where, right, we're going to do some homework now, or we're going to do some training now, or whatever? Because there's nowhere to hide.
No, there is nowhere to hide. Like I have one sitting just within the reach of my hand, like constantly with me. Yeah, I've no patience with homework, so I'm like staying away from it as much as I can. And then when I hear the things have been thrown or the pencils are flying, then I'm like, okay, what's wrong? So yesterday I got to refresh my memory in what we were doing, Patrick, trigonometry, yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, that was fun. It's actually, I had to look through the videos they've been sent, and at the end I actually enjoyed it because I used to like all that stuff in school. So yeah, I might re-enter Leaving Cert after all this. do it again. Yeah, it's kind of like you think you're at home when you have all the time in the world, but at the same time there's not enough time to do everything. So you kind of have to pick the battles and pick the things you're doing today or not. Yeah,
it's just an added pressure. The We Play conference has traditionally been about girls in sport and women in sport, and, you know, specific struggles. But I would be really interested, Rhys, on the same note, about you growing up and competing and excelling in a sport that is actually female dominated. So was that something that was ever uncomfortable or challenging, or was there anything that you would have struggled with competing, I presume, mostly among younger girls, but when you were younger?
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, gymnastics as a whole, there is a lot of different different apparatus and different events for men and women, so it is kind of a different sport, but it's artistic gymnastics. It's the same thing. So yes, it is actually quite strange that there is a sport that is predominantly female. You know, all the big names, Simone Biles, all of them are female, of course, and they have the image of being gymnasts. So when a boy does go to gymnastics, and I think it is becoming a lot more common now, it's strange for some people. You know, when I was in school, people kind of questioned, why am I doing gymnastics and not not rugby or football. I'd done loads of sports when I was younger, but gymnastics always just took to me so much better because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole environment of being a gymnast as well.
And I'm not sure the way it works in younger age grade in gymnastics. Did you used to compete alongside girls when you were under 8, under 10, or was it always segregated?
No, it's always segregated because yes, there's different disciplines. You need different coaches for men's gymnastics compared to women's. It is almost a different sport because of the different apparatus. So there was always a boys group, and then there's a girls group, but there would just be a little bit more girls in the gym, and there would be more groups to facilitate the amount of girls as well. But there would be mainly just a kind of not even a small group of boys. It would be just a group of boys, of course, working on their events.
And was there ever anything in your peer group, like at school or in your other sports, where some of your friends would have been like, "Oh, you're doing a girls' sport"? Or was there ever anything like that you were struggling with?
No, not struggling with, but there's obviously just comments passed, just oh, you wear a leotard when you're competing in gymnastics. It's just, but I never really let it affect me at all. I would just like throw back another sly comment at them, and it's what boys do really. Of course, there's always going to be a line, and if somebody crosses that line, it borderlines on bullying. But I never really felt that it crossed that line, and I never really let myself get affected by comments like that.
I love the way you answered that immediately with, not struggled with, because yes, it happened, but you were in charge of making sure it didn't actually affect you. And of course, the irony here is that gymnastics is the greatest show of strength. Ballet is the greatest show of strength that anybody can have, male or female. So
I think I knew that just the amount that I enjoyed the sport, and the amount of benefit I got off it. Like I knew I was like physically stronger than a lot of these guys that were slagging me off. So it wasn't something that affected me at all, because I just knew in the back of my head that, well, I'm enjoying this, so I'm not going to let somebody else kind of shut me down. But it's what boys do in school. I'd be lying if I didn't throw back a slag at them again. So that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I think you've got a brilliant attitude, because I hope this discussion is watched by boys as well as girls, because it's kind of irrelevant. It's just your attitude that you have is brilliant. Ellen, you've spoken before as well, about when you were much younger, like struggling with your body and stuff. And we've spoken about this before at We Play, but I think it's worth reiterating, just that really subtle self-awareness that Rhys is displaying here, and just the strength to know that, that kind of thing isn't going to bother him. You kind of did that yourself. You just decided, right, I'm going to take off the sleeve, and I'm going to celebrate what I have here and my body and the strengths that it has.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing that sport ever gave me, and that swimming ever gave me, because when you're doing your sport, you're just so focused on training and getting better and pushing your body and seeing what your body can do, that you forget about all your insecurities, or you forget about anything that maybe someone's saying about you, or that someone's looking at you differently, and you're just so focused on getting better. And that's where I got my confidence from. So it wasn't like, oh, I just started swimming and all of a sudden I loved my body and I was able to do everything I ever wanted and show my arm off. But it was a progress of, I became a teenager, I became really insecure about my arm, but swimming was my safe haven. And because of my sport, I grew my confidence and decided I wanted to be that confident outside of the pool too. And I think if you are struggling with any insecurities, try and focus on your sport or whatever you love or whatever you're passionate about. And over time, it may not be a quick fix, but over time you'll grow in confidence, and that you'll be able to transfer that outside of your sport or outside of your passion.
Yeah, that's a brilliant message. It's so important. And just to hear people like you giving that message. It's invaluable to younger people as well. Let's talk before we finish up about what the next year actually looks like and what the qualification. I know you're all safe, but just in terms of refocusing the training plan and what the next year is going to look like, because there's so many question marks now over Europeans and Worlds for the next few years because everything's put back. Sunita, what does it look like now for you? I know there won't be any competitions, and the same with Swim Ireland. There won't be anything until at least September or whatever. But when are you going to get to compete again on the water, or have you any idea?
Well, you see, we don't usually compete after September. So our season starts sometime April. But they have moved European Championships to October. But I don't know how I feel about it because I've never been race fit in October, and yeah, it's something unknown for us. We don't really know if it's actually going to happen, and if it does, whether we're going to go. I think it would be nice to get some racing this year, but if it's not, it's not. Like, we're going to get over it and we're going to start racing next year. Hopefully next year all the regattas will go ahead as they were planned to go ahead this year. So that would mean our first race would be sometime in April, beginning of April, hopefully.
I suppose the pressure is off you in a way because it doesn't really affect you if the Europeans don't go ahead, like, because you have your place at the Olympics and you're not looking to get race fit for a major championships or for a regatta that you could qualify from. So do you feel like there's a bit of pressure off your shoulders?
Yeah, definitely. I think if I didn't qualify my boat at the World Championships and I had to go and do the job, I really wouldn't like what was happening this year, because I know I've done it twice in the last regatta and it's a huge amount of pressure all the way down until you qualify. So for all those months that you are waiting for that event, and now I kind of feel a little bit for our girls who have to go and do it because they have another year now to wait for that qualifying event. But in a way, I feel it's going to play to their strength because they're definitely going to be faster and fitter next year, and they will get the job done then. But yeah, it's definitely huge amount of pressure off the shoulders by having that spot at the Olympics. So all I need to think about is just having a good winter's training again, and that's all.
Yeah, Rhys, you're nodding away there. You were one of the first Irish athletes to qualify for the Olympics. You got the job done good and early, pressure gone, and it's still there. And no matter what happens, you're going to Tokyo. So you're nodding away mad there, thinking about the pressure not being on your shoulders.
Exactly. It was going to be such a relief anyway. But as soon as all this started to kick up, there's a World Cup series that people were wanting to qualify their last chances pretty much, and you have to win the World Cup series. So it's a tough job to qualify, and that would have been almost my backup if World Championships didn't go to plan. And I can just say I'm so happy that is done and dusted. The World Cups were being cancelled and everything, and like even qualifications of the World Cups were being done and then cancelled in the finals. So it was so much uncertainty, and I was sitting at home being like, I'm just so glad that I got out of the way, because that would have been such a stressful situation. And there's current Olympic champions wanting to qualify through this World Cup series, and that's just, it's crazy for the sport to be seeing this, and it's weird times.
Yeah, it is. It's weird times for every, not just for sport, but even sports broadcasting. There were so many plans in place for Olympics coverage and so many things booked, and everything's gone. It's unprecedented. So I think if you're in the lucky position where you're going to Tokyo and that you're going to be qualified, and that no matter what happens, they can't take that place off you. Yeah. That's kind of best case scenario at the moment. You could not be in a better place in terms of athletes all over the world, because you've got that security. What about you, Ellen? What is your Swim Ireland obviously have said there won't be any competitions at all until at least September. Depending on what the government do, it could be pushed out again even further. How would you feel about not getting to compete at all in 2020?
Oh my God, I only got to compete once in January, and it was a Leinster event, I think. And I was just so excited because April was going to be the month that we were going to have 3 big competitions. We had the Olympic and Paralympic trials in Dublin, then we were going to go to Sheffield for a World Series, and then we were going to go straight from there to Indianapolis for another World Series. And as soon as the news broke that everything was starting to get cancelled, I was just so upset that I wasn't going to be able to race. So yeah, it's killing me that I'm not able to race, and I was getting into a really good shape that I was so excited to see what I was capable of doing. But at the same time, as I said, it's just more time to kind of get excited for next year. And I think that's the one thing I don't like, is the uncertainty of when can we actually begin again, and when can we actually start making plans, and when can you start really putting goals and plans in place, and be able to visualize it and know what's coming. But until then, it's just focusing on Tokyo, the end game, and trying to do all the little bits that we can do at the moment.
Given that all of you have your places pretty much secured and there's nobody can take them away from you, to finish up, I just want to ask you what your greatest hope is between now and the 2020 Olympics, which will happen next year. Ellen, I'll start with you. What's your greatest wish or ambition or aim now, between now and the Paralympics?
I just want to get into the water as soon as possible. I can wait to compete. I can wait to race again. I'm struggling with getting in the water, and I just want to get back in.
Okay. What about you, Sunita?
First, I'd like to add that although I do have a spot in a single, I still have to work hard to maintain it. So if somebody comes out of the woodwork, they can't take it away from me. Unless I'm confirmed for the Olympics, it's not quite mine yet.
Oh, you mean an Irish athlete? Yeah. So the boat is the boat is qualified. Yeah, it would be very unusual now, Sunita, for that to happen. It's literally.
You never know. I've seen some pretty amazing people coming out in the year, and yeah.
Okay. We won't get complacent.
I'll work hard. Yeah. No time for complacency here. I'm kind of looking forward to the team coming back together and training back in the centre all together. And I always appreciate a team, but now more than ever, when you kind of isolated from each other and a bit lonely, and it's so much easier to do the work when you have somebody pushing beside you. I'm quite looking forward to that. And summer break as well. I don't know when we're going to have it and how long is it going to be, but I'm quite looking forward to that.
Okay, brilliant. And what about you, Rhys? I think everybody's missing their colleagues and their training partners, and like even office colleagues. Like I'm in a playroom here. I'd love to go into the office and see everybody properly. What about you, Rhys? What are you most looking forward to doing?
I'm just I'm using this time now to just build new skills and add more difficulty to my routine. So it's a very good time. I'm taking the positives from it, just like most athletes are, I think, now with our champion mindset, if you will. That now is a positive time that I don't have any competitions, and I can specifically work on skills that I wouldn't necessarily have time for if I was competing. So I'm upgrading the routines. I'm maybe working on my own skills, the McClenaghan. So that's exciting times. I've now got the time to work on this. And when the new competition season comes around, whenever that'll be, I'll be ready.
No, go backwards. The McClenaghan. Is this a pommel exercise? What is it?
Yes, yeah. So, for those of you who don't know gymnastics too well, which is most of the nation, of course, there is a code of points. So there's a list of the skills that you can compete, and all of them are named after gymnasts that competed at first. So it's a dream for most elite gymnasts to have a skill named after them. There's certain skills, just for example, the Busnari, the Magyar, they're all skills named after gymnasts. And I want kids to be learning the McClenaghan in years to come.
Amazing. So you're just devising this now?
Yeah, it's quite challenging. Is that you need to be quite creative because you need to compete a skill that nobody's ever thought of before, and it needs to be challenging too. But it's in the works for sure.
That is, I think, possibly the best use of anybody's time in a pandemic. I'll call them McClenaghan. I love it. Listen, guys, thank you so much for your time this morning. It's been so much fun chatting, and we will have a Q&A session with your fans and Swim Ireland as well, maybe tomorrow. But for now, Sanita Puspure, Ellen Keane, and Rhys McClenaghan, thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.